with him. Here we go. Scott Jeffrey to bounce the ball. Stakes high at the SCG. Renoff in from the angle against Mumford, and Sydney come out of it with the first use of the ball, which umpire Jeffrey insists should come back, and it will be Jude Bolton to take the first use of it. And Grundy's run forward to receive for Sydney as they head to the Randwick end. Not a really warm day, but nice to feel a bit of sunshine. McGlynn, the former Hawk, has the ball in his hands, and he puts it into a good spot, but White arrives late, and he makes contact from behind. And it's a Hawthorn free kick. The umpire calls it on, and the Hawks relieve, and Renoff has it over on the outer side.
Come here, Reece!
So Brent Renoff has got Simon Taylor back in to help him in the ruck this afternoon. A welcome return to this side. Oh, in two minds here. Could be caught. Goes long up the line. He's given it straight back. And it's Mumford that's taken the mark, the former Cat. Backtracks momentarily. And they hook it through Grundy and now to Mattner. On the trusty left. Finds Richards.
That's it!
Just a little patient on the build-up here. The Swans at half-back to McGlynn.
It's going to be an intriguing game. Both sides play very similarly. They're more kicking sides. They don't like to handball. Apart from the run-off half-back, they'll go back behind their mark and just take their kicks, both sides.
Unlike the Cats and the D's, they don't like to play on at all costs, although Jack does on this occasion. Handball short to Kirk. Needs to lift. He's been down the last month or so. Now the switch is on. And Richards through the centre of the ground. It's a penetrating kick inside 50. Pike was there. Good spoil by Gibson. Ball hits the deck. Goods might have given away a free for high contact. And it'll be a Hawthorn ball.
And interesting that it's Sewell who was with Goods in that exchange and has been running with him in the opening minutes, as though Hawthorn are treating Goods as a midfielder at the moment. Lewis takes it wide to Franklin, and there's a little rumble from the crowd as he goes for a rough head, and he puts the ball right between his eyes out at the 50. Now, should he load up here, Lloydie, and try and boost his confidence? It's inconsequential because he doesn't, and Sydney have got the footy. Mattner and Bevan. Now Bolton, hemmed in by Osborne, back to Bevan and McVeigh.
Yeah, I think he should have, Tim. It's the type of ground that you can easily kick that from. He's on his preferred left side from 50 metres out. He would have made the distance easily.
McVeigh goes long to a contest. White there, Gillum with him. Sydney winning the contest at the moment, and Jack probes into the front half. Pike trying to bring it down with the backhand. Goods there to rove him. Big Mumford. Malcheski from just outside 50 offline.
Fine there, Reece. Fine there, Reece.
So it was out of bounds on the full. Young brings it back into play. Stabs it over to Guerra. One of 7 Hawthorn players, Guerra, that's played every game so far this season. Now Roughhead a long way from home. He goes out wide on the outer side.
Hand in the back.
That's the match up there, Cal, the two skippers. Brett Kirk v Sam Mitchell should be a beauty.
Mitchell gave away the free for in the back as we heard the umpire. Kirk to Mumford. He's been involved early. Shaw. Back to Kirk, sharing it around. Now Goods marks it half forward in front of Sewell. Plays on quickly, stabs it inside 50. White got his hands to it, couldn't bring it down. Moore, Jack. There's still a chance here. McVeigh loops it over the top to McGlynn, and the dream start for the former Hawk.
A few key matchups. Adam Good starting in the midfield but drifting forward, so that's going to be really tough for Brad Saw to go with him in the one-on-ones. And down the other end, Luke Hodge. Ryan O'Keefe's been given the job on him, so I think that's to get a man who's been out of form in form and give him the biggest challenge in the game.
Gee, those disposal numbers overwhelming early. 31-11. His Sewell, Goods' opponent, controlled it well, fought on, but Jack, tenacious opponent, and it's holding the ball.
2 Hawthorn players locking the ball in.
2 of them locking it in. A team free kick. Umpire Donnellan calling that. That is an interesting call. Effectively against the team rather than one individual. And Goods is on the end of Jack's kick. Sydney's midfield right on top early.
And here's the holding the ball. Obviously it was pretty hot, but you got to make an attempt. And I think when we get to have another look at this kick going, as we see here, going inside 50, no one really wanted to make a spoil or put an arm across Adam Goods, and that's the problem. Teams are so used to zoning, they don't know how to play one-on-one defensive footy anymore, so they'd be disappointed with that, the Hawks.
A goal here in Sydney really gets some early momentum. From 49, it's good, it's very good, it's Goods. The Swans by 2 goals.
A man like Adam Goods, you cannot let him take an uncontested mark. And look, Clinton, Young, Stratton, Ellis, they're all just watching. Whoever's accountable for Goods in the midfield, which was Brad Salt at the time's got to go with him.
Eyes on the footy.
So the Swans in unfamiliar territory. They're coming off 2 hidings, but they've done something they haven't in the last 2 weeks. They've started really well.
Mine.
And it's Pike and Renoff that will square off in the ruck contest yet again.
Thanks, Sammy.
A Canadian re-signing for a further 2 years during the week. It was the big story coming out of the Swans camp. Kennedy, a handball away, lightning quick from Kirk, off to McVeigh, and again they send it inside 50. It was an awkward bounce there for White. Handballs back to McVeigh, and now Moore. High ball, tough to mark, and it's Hodge that's underneath it. It was touch, so it's play on, and the Hawks drive it out of defence here.
Hawks in danger of being overwhelmed here early. Franklin missing one he should have taken. Lets in Grundy. Swans press again. Mumford in the middle of 2, and he put a hand in the back of the man in front. So it's Gibson's free kick.
Yeah, Buddy Franklin there, just bouncing off the chest. That was one he probably should have taken on his hands, but as I said, it'd be new to a lot of these players playing on the SCG because not many Hawks have played here.
Gibson lost in the shadow of the light tower. Doesn't reach the wing. Josh Kennedy in there. Second game against a club, of course, that his family has played such a huge part of. Father and grandfather, 7 premierships, more than 400 games with Hawthorn between them. Pike doing the ruck work. Jack very good early. Been outstanding, inspirational. So's McVeigh, dabbing it to White's lead. Young takes the spillage. Hodge, Hawthorn really needing to stand up here. Gibson to Bateman. Swinging it along the flank, 2 on 2. And it falls Sydney's way again. McGlynn also good. Got a call in midfield from Mattner out of defence. The kick a little untidy. Richards there to help with the shepherd. And the Swans maintain possession, and Grundy can have a look ahead.
And Grundy can have a dash because no one comes at him. He stabs the pass to McVeigh again.
That's it, Geordie.
Seen a lot of it. Kicks to centre half forward. Goods is the target at the back. Ryan O'Keefe judged it best.
And he's playing a defensive forward role, Cal, on Luke Hodge. And that's what you do, make them pay when the ball comes your way. And Jared McVeigh, fantastic for him. 6 disposals early in the match. Quite unbelievably, it's 45 disposals to 19 and 8 inside 50s to 1. So total dominance from the Swans.
So Ryan O'Keefe, last year's best and fairest winner. That would have given his confidence a real boost when he needed it. But it's offline and a let-off there for the Hawks.
Hawks' record here is not good. 1 win since 1996.
Move it on, please.
Last couple of visits, both resulted in 10-goal-plus defeats. They haven't started well here. Pike getting his hands dirty. In the end, it's not. Is it over the line? The boundary umpire's not convinced it is. He wanted to blow his whistle, but I don't know whether he could see the ball buried in there, so there'll be a bounce. Renoff unopposed. Hodge now will get the throw in and the chance of a clearance.
Why do you think the new negating forward role seems like a new tactic in the AFL? We see O'Keefe doing it with Hodge today.
It is the running defender who can use the ball as well as Hodge can. They just have to be nullified. We've seen Aaron Davey, who was one of the first players was trying to stop off half-back. And now you've got Andrew McLeod, obviously Dustin Fletcher last night. So, yeah, it's a real role that you just have to sacrifice your game for the team, as O'Keefe will do today.
So it's back in play. Collected high. In and under there was Bolton. Umpire says play on. Jetta can't pick it out. And glimmers away, but it'll come back for a bounce.
Maybe we'll be part of history today, Cal, and watch Lewis Jetta get his first
Well, he'll be hard to miss. He's got the flashy red boots, 16 behinds, yet to break through for his first AFL goal. I imagine there would have been some sleepless nights in the last few weeks. As Hawthorn win the clearance here, it slips through the hands of Bevan, though.
Holding!
And a free's been picked out. It's coming back to Franklin. Doesn't waste any time. Long kick, top of the goal square. It's Roughhead v Mattner, and Mattner gets his fist to it, sees it over the line.
I think due to the Swans' dominance, Roughhead and Franklin are always having to chase possessions up around the midfield because the ball's not getting in there. So this is virtually their first real chance to get a goal, the Hawks.
Renoff bringing it down. Swans, though, really getting over it in numbers. And there's a real sense of purpose about them today after a couple of poor efforts in the last 2 weeks. But they love playing on the SCG. They've won 5 out of 6 here this year. Umpire Donlan to bounce it in the shadows of the Bradman stand. Renoff first hand on the ball. Oh, McGlynn could be costly, but Sydney with the numbers back. Kennelly and Kirk, that's a floater. So a throw in with Hawthorn pressing for their first score.
Ball spins back into play. It beats both ruckmen. It's just hacked out of there by Hanbury to the centre of the ground. Oh, the big leap from White. He's gone too early. In for a push in the back. Murphy to Gibson. Spearing pass. Misses the target. Overrunning it, though, was Jack. And then it's held up. Bateman.
Prior opportunity. No, the tackle was fine. Front on, you duck down east.
So Bateman just penalised for doing a little bit too much, and it's a Sydney ball.
Yeah. Umpire calling that fine. That looked like it was right over the head to me. Mattner's ball, half-back for Sydney. And their disposal coming out of defence in the last couple of minutes, just a little ropey, but he found Ted Richards, who pumps in the goods direction. He got rid of Gibson, and umpire Chamberlain quite rightly penalises him, and there's 50.
Is that for dissent there against Adam Goods?
I think it was waving the finger at the umpire, absolutely.
And you just cannot afford to give away 50 metres here on the SCG, because that's taken Josh Gibson. He waved his finger at Ray.
Gee, it was hardly a threatening gesture. And questions about punishments fitting crimes are raised, as they often are in these circumstances. Franklin with the footy now, a man on the mark, about 45 out.
So he's still got to kick through the football here, but he'll make the distance. Obviously quite comfortably kicking just on 50 here at the SCG. A comfortable kick, and this would do a lot for his confidence because he's missed a few of late.
Takes his natural arc, draw from left to right, maybe too much of it. There is. And Hawthorn's first score, a minor, a disappointing result. Now here's Adam Goods. It's hardly threatening, it's hardly belligerent or provocative. I don't think that's worth 50.
It's not throwing the mouth guard out or anything like that, is it?
And we saw the way over umpired last night, the Carlton-Essendon game. Too many decisions which affected the match, and we don't want to see that today.
Kennelly looking for Mumford, couldn't bring it down. Taylor started on the bench. Bateman needs to hit up a target inside 50, but it cleared the head of Burgoyne. And now players dive in at all angles. The umpire says, give it to me. Swans crowd slowly starting to get involved. Hawthorn pressing yet again. Third man up was Bateman. Hodge and Burgoyne apply the gang tackle, and we'll go again.
Ball's locked in. Thanks.
Marty Franklin with an early miss. Only played the 2 games here at the SCG for 1 goal. Taylor knocks it down. Burgoyne. Here's Franklin on cue. Back to Burgoyne. Just has a flying snap. Blazes away across the face. 2-on-2 back there. Roughhead was in the contest. He couldn't take the mark. And the Swans defenders relieved to see it over.
And you can hear the atmosphere around this ground. The Swans fans will be ecstatic because you can just feel that they're in this match. They've been blown away by Melbourne. Last week they started well against the Cats, but were out of their depth, whereas this one, you can see they're right in a contested game, which they love.
Hawks holding it in here, though, and you'd think the longer it's in there, the more likely they are to get a goal. Sydney's ball low. O'Keefe. Bevan, dangerous fumble again. They're making some errors down the back. Bolton squirts it out to Mattner, who has that tremendous left foot. He puts it out in front of Reshaw, too far in front of him. Stratton lost his footing though and let the Swans in. Well, that's just about in the back from short, not paid as such, and there'll be a ball up. So Sydney soaking up the Hawthorn pressure, and now with the ball forward of the centre line.
Nearly 17 minutes gone in the opening term. The Hawks still goalless. Kennedy tries to get his foot to it. Saul applies the tackle. Jack, McVeigh, Kennedy. Now McGlynn goes by foot. The target is Goods in front. Has he paid the mark? No, it'll be a throw-in. .70 around from the Swans' goal. Again, this game's been played in close confines early on.
Really interested in how the Hawks forwards are playing. They've now got the tie back their way, as you see, Ray.
Not quite sure. He'll take two for Ray, and he throws it up. It was Taylor that might have got in the road. He can be forgiven. It's his first game of AFL for the year.
Initially. No, got to watch his head.
And it's going to be a Sydney free kick here. Here's the replay. Ray nearly got Taylor's knee in the head. Swans pressing again. McGlynn keeps it in play just now. Jetta, the excitement machine. He takes on it from the boundary. It would have been the impossible angle, the impossible goal, but not to be. And he racks up point number 17, Tim.
I reckon he's going to break through today. I've got my money on him. Just got that feeling. So the Swans lead by 13 points. Goals hard to come by. Hawthorn haven't kicked one. Werra, long release. Taylor, a welcome return for Hawthorn, but not able to do the business there. Good Mark Mumford, who started really well. Wanted to centre it, just couldn't see anything he liked in short. So he goes towards a warm spot. White had to go the spoil. Goods spinning into the clear and nailing the goal. It was brilliantly done by the dual Brownlow medalist.
Stephen Gillam's just got to his feet. Watch this for a contest. We see Adam Goods going out to the side, gets front and square, but Jesse White does what a good forward should do. He makes the defender pay and gets the crumb, and Adam Goods kicks the goal.
Goods, the leading goal kicker last year with 38. That goal just then was goal number 39 for the year. And here go the Swans again. It's all one-way traffic here early in the first quarter. A long ball back there is White. Forced to go out one-handed. It spills to Moore. A bouncing ball. Let's throw for a goal. They can do no wrong.
And Jesse White there. Great call. Kelly's gone up in the one-on-one, and I want to watch this. I reckon he's a great run off half-back. There's a great kick, putting the small Hawks defence under pressure. He's tapped that down. That is so smart there from Jesse White. Down to Jared Moore. Fantastic play.
It's almost as though they're playing that by design, that White is playing the role just of a competing forward, not really there to take too many big marks, create a contest, and the smaller men, or even Adam Goods, ready for the drop of the ball.
And we see Paul Roos there in picture. He knows the limitations of the Hawks, and they've now put Mumford deep with Jesse White. He's being picked up by Stratton. He'd be giving away 10 centimetres, and Gillam struggling with Jesse White's height.
Well, this unusual season that Hawthorn have had is really at the crossroads here. They won 7 on the trot from round 6 to 14. They've won only 1 of their last 4 with the draw thrown in there as well. They've made a shocking start here. This is getting serious. Lewis attacking it. Malcheski beat him. Support from McVeigh, and now from Goods. And the Swans looking like a team on top of their game. And now it's the grand old man, Kirk, to McVeigh, and here they go again. Mumford, but Gillam arrives, and arrived hard and purposefully. Gives to Young. Dangerous user of the ball, forced to kick with the non-preferred, and he sprays it. So many left footers don't like using the right, Matthew Lloyd.
No, they don't, and Noel's one of them.
So the Swans in possession yet again. A real hunger early on in front. Mumford couldn't take the mark. In fact, it was Pike. And it's brought down and held. We'll have yet another bounce.
A damning statistic in this game. Look at the clearances. 10-2 in favour of the Swans, and Kieran Jack's been the man. He's had 4 clearances and 7 contested possessions.
Renoff trying to palm it down to Hodge. Missed the target. Guerra taken high.
Under pressure. High contact. Brett Guerra. Time on.
So a chance here for the Hawks. They need to manufacture something. And the blood roll's been called, so there'll be a pause in play. It's Brent Renoff with a little bit of blood trickling from the nose. And a break in play allows some interchange rotations. Busier than Burke Street Mall down there at the moment.
That's a good illustration of it, isn't it? They're just everywhere. And they're still coming, actually. It's just a procession.
Well, the Hawks average about 150 rotations a game, so they use it more than most clubs.
In this break in play, you can see all the Hawthorn players are huddling up, and then they'll look to break out into space.
Thanks, Ben.
Short ball is on to Birchall, and then another short ball to Burgoyne. Outer side. 23 gone, still goalless Hawthorn. It was a wobbly old kick, a bouncing ball inside 50. Sydney has the numbers. Grundy, Kirk. Wider still to Kennelly, a little risky though. It just bobs up for an anxious moment. Kennelly over the top to wide, and they're off again here, the Swans. Hanbury, the youngster, kicks in front of the interchange gates. This is Trent Dennis-Lane in just his 3rd game. He was outnumbered, he couldn't pick it up. It's a free though. Hands in the back, it's coming back to Hawthorn. It'll go to Murphy.
Who spies a target in Osborne. Osborne's one of only 3 members of this Hawthorn team who have been in a winning team in Sydney. Gives to Birchall, who overshoots. Rough head, awkward for Richards. Might let Rough head in. Now, what's that? It's
too high.
Yep, free kick to the Hawk.
This will test his confidence, Tim.
It will, although the angle he might just, well, is he going to use that approach that he sometimes does, where he virtually runs away from goal and curls it around the corner? He does, and he kicks a goal. Breaks the tension and the drought.
Swans would be ecstatic. Jared McVeigh, 9 disposals. Jack, 8. Brett Kirk, 8. So 3 players looking for a bit of form have really found it in this first quarter.
Swans by 19. Taylor ran at it.
To Brad Saul. Josh Kennedy has a hold of his jumper at the back.
Heard the umpire. Saul happy to accept it. Now he's off. It's a driving ball. A big pack flies over the top. Here's Hawthorn again, looking to score. But McGlynn taps it to himself beautifully and then plays on. Gives it over the top to Shaw and then to the wing. Guerra's there. It's over the line.
A bad choice by Reece Shaw, and Hanbury's letting him know. The hand pass was on. He'd drawn the tackler to him, which really released Hanbury. Shaw chose to kick. He apologised, I think, to Hanbury and realised his mistake. Here's McGlynn hitting the ball hard, but another Hawthorn free kick. Swans just overplaying it in their blue-collar midfield way, and it's Mitchell's footy for the Hawks. Time for them to repair some of the damage done early in this opening term. Franklin there, but Sydney with numbers up every time the ball's kicked into the tall Hawthorn forwards. There'll be a throw in here. Below the beautiful old members and ladies stands here at the SCG. Hawthorn starting to get into the game in general play, but they've conceded a lot of ground on the board. Here's part of the reason why. McVeigh to Kennedy under pressure, and he gives away a second free kick in about 90 seconds. Hawthorn's ball on the wing.
I think Hawthorn have struggled in this first quarter, aside from the clearances, just with the dynamics of the SCG. I think they're struggling moving forward, and the Swans are playing this ground beautifully compared to the Hawks. They need to get better entrances inside 50.
Guerra to Ellis, who's just going to pop it up in the pocket. Rough head, 1, 2, 3 bites at it. Wasn't paid. Rough head at the back. Handball a little bit too hot for Bateman. He goes and gets it. Rough head off to Franklin, and he's brought down in a wonderful tackle. Ridden into the ground by McGlynn, his former teammate. And now the Swans are away. And the kick goes inside 50. There's no one there. Dennis Lane taps it over the top. Jetta's lurking. So too Dennis Lane. Can he keep his footing? He does. A wonderful coast-to-coast goal for the Sydney Swans.
This was all set up here by Ben McGlynn. He's had intent. He's been a huge find for the Hawks, and this was Dennis Lane.
Did he put a spin on that ball? Because it bounced right back to him.
He was probably hoping it would spin to Jetta, but it bounced back to him, and fantastic for him.
Yes, the goals keep eluding Lewis Jetta, but the Swans are kicking them. Here's Goods climbing in, and here's Jetta around the corner, and number 18. The crowd are with him. They were behind him. So were the commentators.
I can't watch him. I can't bear to watch him. He's inside 50.
They are looking sharp, though, the Swans. Been just as good a quarter they've played for a long time.
Still time, though, for the Hawks to score before quarter time. They need to find a settler. All sorts of concerns early on. Guerra to Franklin. Clearly not a crowd favourite.
A bit tough, isn't it?
It is a bit tough. I think the umpire might have called play on then, as Buddy goes short to Murphy. And then he'll kick to half forward. Rough head, camped underneath it. At the drop, couldn't bring it down. Once again, it's locked in. Sewell doing the hard work.
And let's have a look at Jetta. That was a sensational crumb. And he's willed it home, as has the 40,000 people here. But he can't bite. The goals are looking quite small for him at the moment.
They understand their footy. There's no doubt about that. Very aware that Jetta's got 17 behinds. Richards dispossessed. Grundy and Ellis dive in. Grundy goes again. It's legged, I think. It was a free to Grundy. Got the tough job on Franklin this afternoon, of course. No Lewis Roberts-Thompson. And also missing Craig Bolton from their regular back six. They share it around. And now Malcheski has a bit of a run.
Does it confidently and kicks confidently into the corridor. Richards getting around Ladson. Good play, and goes for White, who again brings it down. I think he was trying to mark that. He might do more than bring it down. He does, but not quite as much as he would have liked. But Sydney really going forward with tremendous aggression, and Hawthorn's fragile defence is showing the strain.
A little risky here from Guerra, last line of defence. Onto the trusty left, one-on-one, Burgoyne and Mattner. Burgoyne brings it down and then applies a big bump. Tangle of arms and legs.
It's been a total dominance, not only on the scoreboard, but 104 disposals to 62, 15 inside 50s to 10, 13 clearances to 5. So they've had so much more run and spark, the Swans, than the Hawks.
Most importantly, 34 to 7. And it looks as though that's what it will be at the first change. Another ball up, but barring a free kick, you'd reckon that'd be it. Brett Kirk having a breather. A terrific first quarter by Sydney. A 27-point lead at the first change. They're running on top of the ground. The Hawks shell-shocked.
They are shell-shocked, and that last bit of play just going back behind their mark, kicking over the mark to contest, whereas the Swans, they're getting run and carry, and they're so dangerous going inside 50.
This season of Hawthorns is really wobbly right now. They've given Sydney 4.5 goal start. And stick around for this game, because even though Sydney have opened it up, I think they might have set the scene. Hawthorn have the talent to get back, but there's a lot of getting back to do. It's been a brilliant start, Matthew Lloyd, by the Swans.
Oh, it has been, and the stats tell the story. Look at the handballs there, just 20 from the Hawks. They have had no run and carry whatsoever. They missed Cyril Rioli, I saw in that first quarter. He'd be ideal on the SCG, and just the disposals and all-round aggression at the contest. The Swans have been far...
How tough did you find it when you were playing here alongside Lucas all those years?
It was harder for him, Scotty, because as a centre forward you get bypassed, but I used to love just playing out of the goal square here at the SCG.
Second quarter underway and the Hawks in all sorts of bother. They need a lift from their leaders. Sam Mitchell with 4 disposals in the opening quarter. Luke Hodge with 2. Mumford, O'Keefe, and again McVeigh. It was a free off the ball because a Swans player was put down in goods. In fact, yes, it is goods.
Football. Joe McVeigh's free kick.
And the free will go to McVeigh. Coming up for his 12th possession.
Just go down to Ian Shuttleworth, Kel. Ian, any breeze down there? I've got a feeling you was suggesting it was blowing actually to left of screen, which means the Swans were kicking into it in the first quarter.
Yeah, spot on, Tim. It is going towards the left of screen, and if anything, it has picked up since the game started, but it seems the scoring end at this stage is the opposite end.
Goods dropped what he should have taken, and the Hawks with the turnover through Moss. A long ball. There's not too many players home. Oh, it sits up lovely for Roughhead, and he's going to try and dribble this one through, and it slams into the post.
So that was another case, Cal. You were spot on. Nothing to kick to. Roughhead got lucky that Richards let the ball bounce through him, but they have to stay at home, the Hawthorn forwards.
Roughhead's percentage accuracy last year was above 65. This year it is virtually balanced right on 50, and he's 1 goal, 1 for the day. They needed something there to really kick-start them. Here's Grundy. It's a mongrel old kick, and well collected by Birchall for the Hawks. Ran off to Mitchell. Swings it with the left. The drop fooled Moss. He fights on. Fought on well. His uncle, Brownlow medalist Peter Bedford, was playing in a bit of a veterans curtain raiser here today. Might have provided him with a bit of inspiration. There's Luke Hodge. Gee, he'll be glad of the goal post. Or the behind post there. It obscured that a little, but what we saw didn't look very good. Ladson with the footy. And a ball up. Let's have another look at that. Luke Hodge. Is he the Brownlow favourite? If he's not, he's close to it.
Hands off, reshot!
And there he is.
Not too bad, I don't think.
Not too bad, Lloydie.
No.
You're an expert on those things. You're the go-to man when it comes to that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
no, just under the neck there from Adam Good, so not much in it.
They like playing on the edge. Already 6 Hawthorn players suspended this year. Of course, Rioli and Campbell Brown suspended from this game as the Swans go again through O'Keefe, and now Mattner over the top to McVeigh. Probably held on to it for half a second too long. Got the kick away just in time. Goods has been held, if you ask the crowd here. It was Gibson doing the holding. Goods is a frustrated man.
Thanks, guys.
I think that was fine. That's just good harassing there from Gibson. Wasn't holding, just corralling Adam Goods at the contest.
Mumford. Jack flew by, couldn't win the possession. Shaw. And this time it's O'Keefe. So we'll have a ball up only a few centimetres in from the boundary line.
O'Keefe still with the run with roll with Luke Hodge. He'd be happy with how he started. Hodge just to do 2 disposals.
There's no impact at all so far. Free kick to Mitchell. High contact. Hawthorn badly needing to do the early scoring there. There's nothing for him to go to along the boundary line. Hooks it inboard, and Moss finds the footy here.
2 metres!
And the Hawks advance, and Lewis read the drop there as though it did hold up in the wind. Hodge now. Franklin. Grundy trying to go with him. Franklin dangerous, but the bounce of the ball just getting away from him. More frustration for the Hawks, still with just 1 goal.
Thanks, Brad.
This is Jude Bolton. played his 250th a couple of weeks ago. It was a nightmare against the D's. Their worst ever loss under Paul Roos. It's been a different story so far today for Sydney. Hanbury forced to go against Moss. The boundary line. Gary Moss back in the side this afternoon, the West Australian. Played 3 of the first 4 games this season and has been in the VFL since.
So the arm wrestle on early in the second quarter. Sydney's turn. Moore. McVeigh to receive. Time to steady and nail the goal. And the Swans go further ahead.
So 14 touches and a goal for Jared McVeigh. That is quite a quarter and 5 minutes of football. Taylor palming it down, looking for Saul.
By contact, Brett Kirk.
The oldest man on the ground. Handballs off to the run of Malcheski, who was peeling off. In front, Gibson read it best.
No, he's forward to the mark.
Looking to give it off to the run of Murphy, but it will come back. Josh Gibson rather short to Lewis. Wheels around to the left, kicks to the wing. Roughhead had the sit. Stripped was Kirk, and then Saul off to Moss, and now one out is Franklin and Grundy. Grundy, Franklin free. It'll be Buddy's ball.
I think that free kick was there. See, well, that's what happens when you're nervous. See, Grundy wraps Franklin around the neck, and I think that's what's got to happen. Hawthorn have got to have a get-out kick inside 50, and you get yourself free kicks, and then Moss and the smaller players on the Hawthorn forward line know where to crumb the ball. So this has to happen if Hawthorn are to get back in this match.
Must convert. Should be elementary, but it's not. So 2 posters, one from each big-name forward to start the second quarter is certainly not what Alistair Clarkson would have wanted.
And Buddy with 3 behinds next to his name. The Hawks still with just 1 goal. Grundy, who gave away that free kick, gets a reprieve, gives to Richards, to Shaw, to Moore. Sydney like clockwork. It's all come together today. Hawks have numbers behind the ball here. So Sydney prepared to work it around and wait. Mattner to Hanbury. One of 3 members of this Sydney team who went to Xavier College, right in the heart of Hawthorn territory. Down the wing he goes. Mumford, Kirk roving it. Nice little hand pass. McVeigh. Jetta was there. He thought better of that option near goal. White. Here comes Jetta. He's running onto it. It wouldn't sit for him. There's Kennedy and White and Jack hitting the post. Gee, there was no pressure there. And it very nearly produced Sydney's 7th goal.
They nearly went coast to coast there before that to slow it up, and that's the run that the Swans have had that Hawthorn haven't. So great to see Guerra taking the game on. I think that's what the Hawks need to do.
Couple of bounces. No one comes near him. He's got time. He's got space. He assesses the option and he kicks straight to a Sydney player.
You're spot on with your call, Kelly. No one going at him. The Hawthorn forward structure is completely falling down.
Pike to Grundy. And they're prepared to go backwards and be patient to set this up. Bevan. Hawks defenders floating back. One-on-one footy here.
Thank you.
Goods. Kick 2 in the opening quarter. He goes short round the outer side to Grundy again. So the Hawks players getting back, trying to plug the holes, trying to hold it up here. Brett Kirk. Game number 195 consecutively. Dates back to round 15, 2002. That is quite a remarkable effort from Brett Kirk. Richards to Malcheski. We're still at half-back. Now the short passes on to O'Keefe, and no one is anywhere near him. And he's on the right side for a left footer, and he just pokes it into the pocket. Guess who? Here's our man, Tim.
How's his long shooting, I wonder?
I'm nervous for him.
He's got the members right behind him here.
Well, he's right up against the advertising hoardings.
It's like when Plugger was looking to kick these 1,000th goal, was it? Or the record breaker, I think it was, here on Mel Michael.
Absolutely. Lewis Jetta, after 17 attempts, he closes, he lines it up, and it's number 18. Can you believe it? The nightmare continues for Lewis Jetta. And his first year of footy, he went a half celebration as well, Lloydie.
It's actually 19, I think.
Yeah.
That's 3 today.
Yeah.
He was on 16. Well, Buddy Franklin once kicked 111, didn't he, in a game or something like that? And there have been Stuart Spencer, former Melbourne champion, member of the Hall of Fame, kicked 11 behinds in a game once. But 18, 19 in a career is quite something. Here's Mitchell for the Hawks. They need a goal too, just like Lewis. Here's Stratton. Moss. Good hand pass to Bateman. Rough head. Got it. Sits it up. Not sure quite what he was after. Moss getting a bit of it. Osborne off the instep, but he misses badly. Hawthorn can't buy a goal.
I think that's where I think they're back in the game, the Hawks, not on the scoreboard, but in terms of their general play. I think they've evened the game up. They're just not taking their chances. But as we said at quarter time, I think Sirioli would make such a difference across half forward and through the midfield on such a tight ground like the SCG.
Malcheski is really going to make his teammate Grundy work for it here. 2-on-2. So a throw in on the outer side. It's 12 scoring shots to 6. 12 minutes gone in the second quarter. Quite tricky conditions out there. The breeze has really picked up in this second quarter, favouring left of screen. So favouring Sydney in this term. Kirk looking for Kennedy. Good mark. Over the top of Birchall, too easy. Squares it up to Bolton. He can give it off to Kirk. And then a penetrating kick looking for O'Keefe. Read it really well. Goods at the bottom. Over to Moore. Again, they're pressing. Ends with O'Keefe again. Not another goal for the Swans, it is. And the alarm bells are really starting to ring now for the Hawks.
Just Kieran Jack, he's played an enormous game. He's had 14 disposals, and just how clean his hands were to Ryan O'Keefe, who is doing a great job on Hodge, also hitting the scoreboard as we just saw.
Hawthorn in the deepest of holes. In the last 11 games, their only 2 defeats have been by 3 and 8 points. And here they are, 37 points down. And Sydney coming off losing form, taking them apart. Mumford into half forward. Kennedy, former Hawk, to put it into a scoring position. Goods arriving and got his hands onto it. Jack, Bolton, back to Jack for another one. Yes, sir.
Kieran Jack, he set up the last goal and then he's kicked one himself, and it's just a great response here from a Sydney team who's been under siege, and they have really come to play in a total dominant performance.
SCG is rocking as Hawthorn wins a crucial clearance out of the centre, although Jack kicked the last goal, gets there first. Back to Grundy. Now Jetta. It's been a one-sided contest. Hawks can't get their hands on it. Back to Jack, all by himself, centre of the ground. He's got options galore. He's going to go top of the goal square. It clears the pack. At the back is Dennis Lane. Can't keep it in.
You said the Hawks can't get their hands on it, Kel. The disposals are Sydney 168, Hawthorn 94 after that one. And it's one that doesn't count for much more to McVeigh. Steamrolling through Ellis, but O'Keefe gives it back to McVeigh. Time to make a choice. Pike, Dennis Lane waits down, but Murphy knocks it through. It's about the best the Hawks can do at the moment. Try and stop the Swans kicking goals.
It's almost like they're sandbagging at the minute, isn't it? Just trying to stop the rot. Bateman. Long up the line. This is Renoff. Wheels around and he goes long up the line as well. It's a one-on-one. Grundy outmuscles Franklin. Been a dirty afternoon so far for Buddy. Grundy short to Jetta. 3 behinds this afternoon if you've just joined us to take his tally to 19. Centering kick. Kirk again by himself. Plays on, dabs it inside 50. Goods, the co-captain to the co-captain. And this is like a training drill at the moment, Lloydie.
It is, and we saw a lot of uncontested ball last night, but that kick from Jetta, that was a fantastic kick, but that's unforgivable, leaving a midfielder like Brett Kirk standing there with no one around him. And Josh Gibson, he'd be very angry with his Hawthorn midfielders. That was far too easy.
So Adam Goods directly in front, the dual Brownlow medalist. Kicked 2 in the opening term, but he's offline on this occasion. The Hawks, the Swans rather, by 46 points. Just over 8 minutes remaining in this opening half.
Well, it's become a demoralisation of Hawthorn. It's not gone yet, but my word, they're going to have to start working their way back very soon. Birchall gives to Mitchell.
Brett Kirk winning this duel. Brett Kirk, 14 disposals, huge impact. And Mitchell, just the 8 disposals and a clanger there.
What a clanger it was. And it speaks of where Hawthorn's confidence is at right now.
He's playing without the glove on his broken hand this afternoon. Broke his hand about a month ago. Been wearing a glove ever since after missing just the 1 round.
He fights back here and he draws a high tackle. So the Hawthorn skipper with the footy.
And just no direction here, Tim.
At least he went through the corridor, not out to the boundary. Stratton arriving. Malcheski beat him to it. Richards for Sydney. Well done, Stratton, working his way up the ground. Franklin, but Grundy held him up. Roughhead had a dip, but Sydney's defence winning most of the battles. Malcheski and Hanbury. Well done, though, Hawthorn. Roughhead, Stratton, the defender, and he kicks their second goal. It had to come from somewhere.
Three midfielders for the Hawks. We see Luke Hodge on the bench there. Look at that. Just the 1 mark in the game, and also hasn't won much of the football. And Jordan Lewis, he's really struggling. This is the other man, Brad Sewell, who's only had 5 disposals in the match.
And that was Ben Stratton's first goal in AFL footy. The boy from Margaret River. Here go the Hawks again. They need a second one in this term. It's just slapped forward. Swans will get there first through Hanbury, loops it over the top to Kennelly. There is red and white everywhere you look. Grundy one way, then the other. Takes on Franklin, a bit of a dash, kicks out wide to a 2-on-1. Ellis outnumbered. Ellis happy to roll it over the chalk. Half-time cannot come quick enough for these Hawks. Taylor to Sewell. Guerra, the little give off. And then Ladson, the left footer on the boundary line. He's going to pop it over the top here. Well, I'm not quite sure whether he was going for Roughhead or the goals. He split the middle and got no result whatsoever. And now the Swans can reload. Shaw out wide. Really makes Pike work for it. But he was up to it. The Canadian peeling off. Goods. Centering kick, risky, just popped it up for an anxious moment. Bevan took the mark. We're happy to concede some ground. And now switch it to the opposite side. It's a one-on-one out there. Grundy's had a fantastic opening half. Now to half forward. Jack inside 50. All too easy. Kirk marks on his chest.
We only spoke about this 3 or 4 minutes ago, and they haven't learnt, the Hawks. It's far too easy. Jack, he's been fantastic. 19 disposals, used the ball so well, but that's not Josh Gibson's fault, who's in the frame. He'd be asking his midfielders, where are you?
Brett Kirk's averaged just 13 disposals per game for the last 5 weeks, most unlike him. But he has responded in the best possible fashion so far this afternoon. It's a wobbly old kick. It's going to sit up on the edge of the goal square. And off hands through for a minor score.
Playing number 195, 195th game in a row, Brett Kirk. He would need the Swans to play in 2 finals if he's to reach 200 and then bow out, which is, of course, his intention at the end of the season. Franklin with the footy, Osborne wide. Now Lewis. Had very little of it so far. Lobs it into half forward. Rough head with 2 Swan defenders coming over the top.
Tackle not high.
So a ball up. In the last 5 minutes of the opening half, Hawthorn with just 2 goals and badly needing a couple more to give themselves something to hang their hats on. Here's Roughhead one-on-one, and the one who wins it comprehensively is Ted Richards to Shaw. Doesn't have much to go to out there, and he knows it. That he holds it up and then places it pretty well. In fact, it was a nice insurance option. Josh Gibson nearly taking a cameraman with him, but the Hawks keep it in their front half.
Assuming front position was Pike, but it will not go anywhere. Had an interesting story on Mike Pike during the week, Tim. His mum in Canada said she sat down and watched a game, didn't see him, and it turned out she was watching rugby league. He gets involved in the action again. And now Kennedy. The Swans surge yet again. Jack, one-on-one in front. Dennis Lane marks in front of Guerra. Knows how to kick a goal. His first-year player, Trent Dennis Lane, booted more than 60 playing for Subiaco in the Waffle last year. He's gone back for a long run-up, Lloydie.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen him in terms of the set shot proposition, but he looks quite good on the run. Let's see him from the kicking from the paint of the 50-metre line.
Lining up for his second for the afternoon. He gets close to the man on the mark. It makes no difference because the Swans' demolition continues.
Trent Dennis Lane's been the one inclusion in the Sydney team after a couple of very heavy defeats, and he's been an inspired one by the Swans' brains trust. 2 goals, dangerous presence up forward. Here's Burgoyne. They need much more from him. In fact, they need much more from many in the midfield. Suckling having a dip, but it's Sydney's ball again, and now there's a casualty for the Hawks. Away goes Jetta. He's got pace and acceleration, but he went too far. Crowd not convinced of umpire Jeffrey's judgment. Osborne's ball, floating it in, but Roughhead overwhelmed again. Bevan the big fist. Jack outstanding. McGlynn, Jetta, and he took 1 step that time to Kennelly. Didn't have time to have a look, but he managed to find a target. It's Hanbury. Everything coming off for Sydney. He's gone very wide. I'm not sure whether that will. But the best Murphy can do is see it over. Oh.
That's the collision off the ball. It was McGlynn. doing the damage.
Might have been Kieran Jack.
Oh, was it Jack?
Yeah.
Rather, sorry. Dobbed the wrong player in there, Lloydie. Back in board.
Tackle. High tackle.
And a free kick here for Hawthorn. Ellis.
See that kick there, to
Don't
me,
they go wide?
yeah, just sums up how they've played today. We'll get a graphic soon of the handball receives, and it's quite damning for the Hawks. He's trying something here, Saul, but just running into trouble, and then no real forward options for the Hawks.
And as you can see, it was a 2-on-1 contest. Richard slapped it down. Kirk, Mumford, Kirk again. It was a bounce handball. It looked good. It was to no one, though. Lewis on all fours. Flicks it through his legs. Grundy, Mumford, Malcheski. It's stolen by Franklin. Oh, wonderful smother by McGlynn. It was desperate stuff. There's still a chance here, the Hawks. Hodge in front of O'Keefe. And almost looked like he didn't want it. He was right up against the boundary line and happy to see it over.
Handball receives, 84 to the Swans, 33 to the Hawks. They've ran far harder than Hawthorn have.
And Luke Hodge still with just 5 disposals for the day. Lewis has had 4, Sills had 7. Hawthorn's top, Roughhead with 10. Franklin wrestles one out here to Gibson. Stratton again up in the front half. It's not 15. Ladson's in strife. High contact. Well, Stratton was about to have another shot at goal. A bit unlucky there, Goods, because Ladson did put the head down in self-protection, and the umpire's normally disinclined to pay the free kick against the tackler in those circumstances. Ladson to kick from just outside 50. Well, from on the paint, in fact. And it's a good kick. And it's just made the journey. The Hawks get their third. So in the last minute of the half, and it has been a shocker for Hawthorn, a beauty for the Swans, who, despite that Ladson goal late in the piece, lead by nearly 7 goals. Hawthorn free kick. Swans not wanting to give ground here in the last seconds. Hawthorn perhaps could just pull back something here. Mitchell into Hodge, Franklin, but Sydney, numbers and endeavour at a very high standard. And the frustration is showing. Tackle adjudged low. 50-metre penalty against Luke Hodge.
No, I think it's, he spoke of frustration. I think it was Jordan Lewis decking Adam Goods just 5 metres from that contest. Just, you're right, you're spot on. They are a frustrated midfield, but they just haven't worked hard enough.
Well, Hodge was saying that it wasn't low, and of course the knee is the cut-off point, and it didn't look too bad. Here's Guerra, brought down, no sympathy. Bolton for Sydney. Bevan up from the back half. Moore, quick kick into the 50. And spillage to Kennedy. The goal unguarded. Oh, that rubs it in. Right on half-time. That's a killer blow from the greatest name in Hawthorn's history.
Oh, it's been an absolute mauling. This has been a total dominance from the Swans. I won't say much about Hawthorn. They're, you know, aside from their forward structures out, dominated in the midfield, but this side, Sydney, full credit to them. They've been under siege the last fortnight, and they could not have gone any better in this first half. And look at the Hawks. They're asking of answers of each other.
A knockout blow. The name is Kennedy, and it wears red and white, and it's been all red and white in the first half. The Swans lead the Hawks by 47 points. There's going to be a lot to talk about at 9:30 on Monday night on One.
Well, that goal all but summed up the opening half here. It is half-time at the SCG. The Hawks and the Swans doing battle as they jockey for positions in the top 8 before the finals. And look at that scoreline. The Swans by 47. They have well and truly stunned the Hawks. The goal kickers, Goods with a couple, and so too Dennis Lund.
Well, Kelly Underwood, 8 Swans have kicked goals, but Lewis Jetta as yet hasn't been among them. We're relying on you to bring him home in the second half.
I'm relying on the red boots. He started the season in lime green boots, switched to the red. So far it hasn't worked. Mumford again wins out. He's been in some great form in recent weeks. McVeigh, Goods, getting in the action, and again they win the clearance. This is a bouncing ball, awkward to control. White does well from the boundary. Loops the handball back to Pike. Oh, Mumford came in hard, throwing his weight around. Gives away the free. And the Hawks through Gibson, and now their skipper in Mitchell.
Well, he hasn't placed that. It's made it awkward for Osborne, but he did pretty well. Got it to Stratton, who kicked his first career goal during the second quarter, to Hodge for a rare disposal. And Moss putting it into the front half, but Roughhead can only see it over. There's Mumford crashing in. Gibson went to ground, which perhaps made Mumford's action look a little worse than it was, but it was a fair assault on the ball. Mumford and Renoff here. Throw in dropping short. Bolton. Bolton again and again, but still it won't come out. The umpire persevering up to a point.
It's the last time I'll say it, because I'm sounding like a broken record, but I was hoping the forward line coach or Clarkson would have said, hold your position, Buddy and Jared Roughhead, because you're getting caught up in the play. And Teddy Richards and Grundy must be thinking all their Christmases have come at once, because once again, getting caught up at the play in the midfield stoppages. They should be back with the goal umpire leading from the goal square.
No one can win a clean possession. And Franklin's tackled by about 3 Swans. 3 behinds for him so far today.
Hands up, Jude! Hands up, Jude!
There is a host of Hawks players that really need to lift. Trying to pluck it up off the deck there was Hodge. It came out to Bateman, who tries to roll one through, and something special is just what they need. That just might spark them.
Luke Hodge, this is sensational play, not accepting the tackle, and Chance Bateman, that is a class finish, but he is one of the players who's been in a stopping role in the last month, but they need his run to get them back in this match.
So the goal is Bateman's. The margin is 41 points. Hawthorn need to get the ball for a start. They had just 126 disposals in the first half, and that is the lowest by any team this season. And they need to string some goals together, obviously, but just to get themselves kick-started. Kirk, nowhere to go, and Hodge suddenly getting the footy. Werra to Stratton, Lewis, Burgoyne. Sydney working hard to hold them up. And Kennelly can attack the ball here and get himself out of strife, but then lost his footing. Letting in Lewis, Mitchell, and Hawthorn looking better. Bateman, who kicked that goal. The shepherd laid by Hodge. Roughhead and Franklin didn't quite do enough. Fights on. Roughhead with him. But it's just not working for the star forwards.
At least he was in the right position, though, Tim. Exactly. It's a quick kick in, going at the football, not having the ball going over his head, and he's going to have to be a crummer. A better setup and a better build-up from the Hawks.
Ladson, in fact, it was Osborne, third man up. To no great advantage. And O'Keefe having a breather. Also saw Luke Hodge come to the bench as well. Fascinating duel. The Hawks desperately need 2 in a row. In front, Mumford. Franklin's there. They pounce on him, and then they pounce on the ball. Franklin, once again, the bouncing ball. Something out of nothing, and 2 in a row for the Hawks.
So much better at the stoppages in this first 5 minutes, the Hawks. And that's where they were totally outclassed in the first half, and that's what Franklin can do. He's kicked the 3 points. There's nothing wrong with taking Grundy in at the stoppages, because he wouldn't be used to that. But just see signs there. Buddy didn't take that last grab, so he's out of touch a little bit, but he'll keep getting shots on goal because he's such a great athlete. And as you said, Kelly, 2 in a row to start this second half. Just the confidence boost that the Hawks needed.
Well, it's the Sydney Cricket Ground, and the first came from Bateman with an outswinger, and now it's the Buddy Franklin bouncer. So, a touch of Ted Hopkins about this as Hawthorn from a mile down kicked 2 pretty extraordinary goals to start the second half.
It's over the shoulder,
And
Drew.
there's no
It's
doubt
over the shoulder.
who the engine room is. It's this man, Luke Hodge. Suddenly, he is getting in and under and over everything. His kick here's to a contest, but Moss might prevail. He doesn't. Now the Hawks do.
By Kennelly.
No, they don't. Kennelly it was who was legged. It's Sydney's ball. But suddenly it's game on. 70-35. Hawks still having their score doubled, but there's encouragement. Here goes Mattner with the non-preferred. It's a good kick onto the chest of the leading white, who hasn't had much of the footy, but it's been his contest in the aerial situation which has really done Sydney some good through the first half. Now a chance for a personal reward. Has just one behind so far. Tight spot from outside 50. Coming back. Not quite enough. Sydney by 36.
So the Hawks set up again. Werrett to himself. Has a bit of a dash. And then the left foot pinpoint pass straight into the corridor finds Mitchell. Pops it over the top to Franklin. Inside 50, one out is Roughhead and Richards. But the kick was too wide. And Roughhead almost lumbered out there. Couldn't get there in time.
Clearances now 4-1 in favour of the Hawks in this third quarter. So they've made the difference in that area of the ground. It's just getting their structures right, forward to centre.
Pressing again here, the Hawks. Burgoyne got through one, got through two, got a kick away. It was deflected down by Pike. Kennedy, Grundy, Kennelly. From the last line of defence, McVeigh being corralled by Lewis. Over the top, a bit of run about the Swans now. Out in front of Dennis Lane, couldn't bring it down. It's picked off by the Hawks. Moss kicks inside 50. And on the end of a lead was Jordan Lewis. He'll go back and have a set shot. Probably the right side for a left footer, Lloydie.
Yeah, spot on, and well done from Tom Murphy getting the spoil down. And suddenly when you win some clearances, you start putting McVeigh and these type of players, the midfielders, under pressure back the other way, which Lewis can get one back on him here.
Just the 6 disposals so far this afternoon. But this would make things very interesting. It's a wobbly kick off the boot. And off hands through for a behind. A wasted opportunity by Hawthorn. They've got all the momentum early in the third.
Well, the kick was a bit like Hawthorn's effort so far. It just lacked conviction. Margin 35. Kennelly, long, wide, Goods on the end of it. Gibson, though, out-positioned him, didn't mess around. Will he go for home? No, he won't. Franklin might, from the impossible angle. Try to curl it back, but he puts it into the Hawthorn cheer squad. Across the goal face. Sydney's ball, but the sign's better for Hawthorn. They're actually winning in general play right now.
They really are, and it's just a matter of they were just hitting that scoreboard and suddenly putting a bit of doubt in the Sydney Swans' mind. Jordan Lewis stood there with his hands wide open saying, buddy, should have centred that ball.
Mattner a little hesitant, so goes long in front. Pike is improving by the game. Off to McVeigh. He's hesitant as well. And the awkward handball is stolen by Ellis, who gives it over the top. It's a loose ball, top of the goal square. Still an element of danger here. Franklin is looming. Grundy is happy to see it over. Franklin asks the question. The umpire says, not this time.
You see here, Jared McVeigh, they've stopped the outlets for Sydney, and that's the pressure there from Clinton Young. Obviously a bad decision there from Ellis, but the pressure is on in this game again.
Sydney's ball, Kennedy, but Ellis has got him, so there'll be a ball up. It's a contest now. Just a question of whether Hawthorn can reel the Swans in. This ground, of course, is the closest to circular of any of the AFL grounds. It's as though it's a little disorienting to Hawthorn. Just starting to find their way. Lewis gets over the ball. draws the high tackle. He'll line them up from straight in front.
They did come up here early yesterday. They trained here yesterday afternoon, the Hawks.
You see here, they're Hodge, Lewis in particular, and Bateman. They're putting themselves in. They're hard players, which they didn't. The Swans showed the initiative in that first half, and you get shots on goal due to putting your head over the footy like Lewis did there.
Just his 8th disposal, and he makes this one count. That's a good kick. The margin back to 29.
There's the disposal efficiency for this third quarter. The Hawks down and out at half-time, and they've responded in the most impressive fashion. Guerra, Bateman, Burgoyne, a little bit too hot for him. Swans steal it. Now Hanbury. Haven't been too many movements forward. Jetta on the end of it. Still a couple of kicks out from home. Looks to bomb it in long. Instead, he spots Dennis Lane on a lead out wide. Can't pull it in. Hawks look to snare it. Osborne wrapped up in a big tackle.
Mine, no prior. Ball can go through.
And we heard umpire Ray Chamberlain. So we'll have a bounce right on the 50. Contest has gone up a couple of gears here. A free's been picked out. It's going to the Swans. Youngest player on the ground, Dan Hanbury. Xavier College boy. Now he's been told to play on. Saul approaches him. He hurries the kick. Top of the goal square. No one can pull down the mark. Comes to O'Keefe for a much-needed settler for the Swans, and he converts.
Just see the ball go in deep. That's what the Swans have done really well, and that's where Ryan O'Keefe has made Luke Hodge pay with 2 goals today.
It's early to say they needed that, but the Hawks have kicked 3 on the trot. Free kick against Renoff. Mumford's ball for the Swans.
In right in the middle, Sandy. Play on.
Margin back out to 35. Good kick from the big man to Hanbury's lead. And it was his kick into the 50 that set up that last goal. Bevan, Shaw, back in the middle. Further back to Grundy. Wiry defender for Sydney. Not his best placement. Moss chops it off. Hawthorn with some belief in their game. Guerra, not good. Jack, one of the real starters for Sydney today. Malcheski with the goal unguarded. Just missed.
There's a turnover there from Brent Guerra, but at least they're trying to play on Hawthorn, which they didn't do in the first half.
And they play on quickly here, out wide to Murphy. Centering kick, short to Gibson. Good comeback after that serious hamstring injury. Missed 11 games in a row in the middle of the season. Now Birchall. He brings it back into the corridor to Young. Young's got a runner wide, and good hard running by Gibson. Can poke it out in front of Bateman. Already kicked a goal this afternoon. Bateman gives wider still to Ellis, who just chips it to Hodge, who takes the mark. In fact, it's Lewis, rather. The mark on the lead inside 50. He was the last goal kicker for the Hawks.
Good build-up here from the Hawks. They switched the play.
Ellis running off the bench to receive that hand pass. That is where there's something unfair about it, I think.
Well, he doesn't look entirely convincing. His eyes are darting. He really wants to give this off. He does unselfishly. He needs to hit up a target. He can't, but Moss, a quick snap around the body. And it's a goal for the Hawks, another one.
Jordan Lewis, he's had a big start to this third quarter, and his eyes, he's looking to find a teammate, and the kick didn't come off, but made its way through to Moss, and great to see him make Kennelly nervous, because Kennelly, he's got the defensive role on Kennelly today.
4 goals to 1 Hawthorn's way. It is a very different game now, but Goods inserts for Sydney. Murphy went the spoil on Dennis Lane, perhaps could have marked. Gillum, the underground hand pass to Guerra, to the one-on-one. Lewis brought down. Oh, that had to be a free kick. Dennis Lane, Shaw, Hanbury, been very good. Put it in the right spot, but a stout mark by Stratton, who ran forward and kicked a goal in the second quarter when all else had failed up forward for Hawthorn. Gives to Guerra here. Hawks defence really has to stand up if they're to somehow salvage this game. They've got to kick a lot of goals, but they've got to make sure Sydney don't kick many. Long ball Young. Grundy did well on Franklin. Lewis really lifting. Franklin just didn't quite know where to position himself. Kennedy, Kirk, brilliant blind turn from the veteran. Kennelly, Grundy, but the pressure mounting. Kennelly to Kennedy. Now Mumford, and the Swans can build.
Back to Kennelly. Hawks are really making them work for it now. Too open and too easy in the opening half. Bolton kicks to Goods in front. Great position. Wonderful contested mark. Just too strong. Skirts the perimeter. Could have gone one way or the other and ended up with Mumford. The big ruckman. A piercing pass. Gibson will get back there. Jetta with a little bit of hang time. Couldn't bring it down.
You see Adam Goods just standing strong, use of the body. Tommy Murphy's angry there, but they've held Goods and the others at bay. 30 points in at the moment. They'd be aiming to be within 4 goals at three-quarter time.
O'Keefe, Goods looking for McVeigh. Overcooked the handball, and the Hawks on the turnover. They can really sting them here. Lewis has a run. 1, 2, 3 bounces, stops, props, corralling him. McVeigh gives it off to Bateman, trying to get out of trouble here. Splitting the defenders dynamically was Burgoyne. He closes to 50. He unloads. It's a low kick. It's a goal. And suddenly there's hope back for the Hawks.
This was a great finish from Burgoyne. He thought there would have been a key forward there. Nothing there for him. He summed up the situation, and that was a sensational finish from a class act Burgoyne.
There was obviously some tough talking done in the Hawthorn rooms at half-time. 10 goals to 3 in the first half against them. They've kicked 5 to 1 in the second, and they've brought this game to life. And here they go, Moss and Bevan. Important contest, and the Western Australians been good in the Franklin direction. Desperate attempt. And Hawthorn now throwing everything at Sydney. And it's Paul Roos's turn to feel the tension. Alistair Clarkson looking relaxed. The Hawks press out at the Paddington end. They're dangerous again. Rough head over it. Buddy just trying to break his way out.
Right now, well battled.
Yeah, ball up.
I think, sorry, Tim, the 2 keys for mine for the Hawks has been Lewis and Bateman. Lewis has had 7 disposals, 1 goal, and Bateman 5 disposals and a goal. Really lifted their intensity.
Swans win it on this occasion. Just hack it out of the defensive 50. But it's all Hawthorn. Ladson, just a short pass. Did it go the required 15? Umpire says no, play on. And as a result, gang tackle, holding the ball against Ellis. Free kick goes to Kennedy. Hawks all single goal kickers. High ball, White in front. Big leap, big mark. Back inboard to Bolton. So the Swans just happy to slow it down. Try and manufacture something to half forward. O'Keefe's in the contest. In front was Pike. O'Keefe wins out. It's an unguarded goal square. How will it bounce? A goal. deflating for the Hawks.
The Hawks. Ryan O'Keefe's made a statement today as one of the leader of the Swans. He's a best and fairest winner. He hasn't been in the best of form, but to not only beat Luke Hodge around the ground, to go forward and kick 3 goals, he's been enormous.
He's kicked their only 2 goals of this quarter, and they've needed both of them. It's back out to 30 points, but Sewell gives to Gibson. Hawks not done with yet. And Franklin, the man on the mark at the 50. Sometimes from out there he makes it look easy. This time he gives to Lewis. Closer to goal, but out on the angle. Had a shot from the equivalent position on the other side earlier in the quarter and put it across the goal face. Let's see. He kicked one from dead in front. He's having a little peep there, but now he's taking responsibility for the shot. And he's done it. And the Hawks keep on coming. It's back to 4 goals.
Jordan Lewis, we spoke about him just a second ago, but he's starting in the centre bounce and he's going on 100-metre runs to get that shot at goal, and then to finish that way, he's getting what he deserves just due to a massive engine, massive work rate.
Back to 24 points. The kick from Kennedy was smothered. It was stolen by the Hawks. Sewell over the top to Guerra. High bump, putting his body on the line. Burgoyne's lifted as well. Now it comes to Stratton. This will be a tough one to control, and McVeigh does it with ease. Over to McGlynn. Gets rid of the tackler. Now Goods. He's got numbers on the near side. It's a broadcast wing, and Shaw has a dash. Kicks to half forward. Jetta went to ground. It was all too easy for Stratton. Switches on. Over to Guerra. Running wide is Renoff instead. Uses the corridor to Bateman. Didn't play much corridor footy in the opening half, but it's really opened up in this third term. Out wide to Murphy. One-on-one at half forward. Well, it clean bowls both players. Now the foot race is on. Who will get there first? Moss tries to scoop it up, and he played that really well. Kept his head down, and as a result wins the free. And Goods is just bubbling with emotion at the moment. Short passes on. This is Bateman. They've got some real up and go about them at the moment. Top of the goal square. In front. Couldn't take the mark, was Hodge. Ball hits the deck. They dive in. It's desperate stuff. McVeigh. Cool head under pressure. Now Chesky. And they do really well to clear it here, the Swans.
Sydney Cricket Ground alive with passion right now. Here goes Goods. It's a wide open front half. White just couldn't get to it. And it becomes easy for Gillen. And he had a queue of targets. Gibson receives. Wants to move quickly, but doesn't want to make a mistake. Over the top. There's Lewis having a huge quarter. That's a beautifully weighted ball for Stratton, running forward again. Just trying to get away from Jetta. Goes for Roughhead's lead, or rather Renoff overshoots him. And big Mike Pike, who's been capped 20 times, a Canadian rugby union representative, and he's earned his stripes in a 2-year contract with Sydney. It is a monumental achievement. And now McVeigh. Star for Sydney today. Kennedy might get a free kick against a frustrated Hodge. Kennedy kicked what looked as though it might have been a killing goal right on half-time, stretching the lead to 47. Here's Goods. Gibson the spoil. Run to Mitchell, tied up.
Holding a man. He's still dragging
Hawthorn free kick. No advantage. Oh, the crowd really awash with passion for the Swans largely, but Hawthorn have some support here as well.
So half the ground bathed in sunshine as Mitchell flicks it over to a teammate, and they bring it round the outer side. Diving in, outstretched, lunging, Renoff. There's the option inside 50. Roughhead in and under. Can't bring it down, and then applies the tackle. O'Keefe wants a free kick. Umpire says, give it to me. So just under 2 minutes left in the third term. The Hawks kicked 3 goals in the opening half. They've kicked 6 in this quarter. How can it be? Ball in dispute yet again. Grundy needs to get rid of it. And does. Comes out to Ladson, who just slaps it clear. Over to Lewis, involved yet again. And then Franklin, it was a worm burner of a kick. Disappointing. McGlynn off to Malcheski. It's coming back. Oh,
now, if a player's trying to exploit advantage,
I think the umpire felt that Guerra just made him pay, even though he knew it was coming back to him. I think it was just it was a dead ball. Malcheski knew it was a dead ball. He just slammed him into the turf.
Malcheski knew. The question is whether Guerra knew. I just think there's enough doubt there to not pay the 50.
I thought it was a bit crude from him either way that the 50 was there.
it was the slinging tackle that they don't like.
Yeah, he would have
got the footy though.
He would have known he stopped though.
So play on inside 50. Goods, outstretched arms, too tall. Adam Goods almost caught the Hawthorn defenders napping. He's already kicked 2 this afternoon. Just a little nudge to Lewis kept him under the contest. Fans loving every minute of this, and they're right behind their captain on the approach, and a little bit of breathing space for the Swans. Goods gets his 3rd, and the Swans hold on. The lead's 30 points, but the Hawks are coming with a rush.
It's been a fantastic quarter. Adam Goods and Ryan O'Keefe, the 2 best Sydney players, in my opinion, standing up when needed, when the Hawks have been coming hard. The Swans have probably stopped their run a little bit. The Hawks' pressure has lifted, but been a sensational quarter of footy with one club copping it. Oregon a spray, take some risks, take the game on, improve your pressure. Hawthorn have answered that, but have only closed the gap by 3 goals. I reckon they need to be another goal or 2 closer to have a real chance in this last quarter.
Paul Roos looking as though he wants numbers down the back just to hold it up. A 5-goal lead approaching 3-quarter time. Swans have kicked a late goal in every quarter, and that is a good sign.
Straight away. Thanks, guys.
Just 3 goals in this quarter to Sydney, 2 to O'Keefe and 1 to Adam Goods. So the old hardheads really standing up, and here they go again, but Gibson in the way. Hawthorn need to attack and try and kick one. Murphy to Guerra. To Gillam. Back to Murphy, that's a bad fumble. Got it back. Might just be time here as he puts it into the half-forward line. Through Kennelly's legs. Franklin, I reckon he's kicked it out on the full. He has. It's Sydney's ball, and that might be Hawthorn's last chance in this 3rd term. Swans with a 5-goal lead. Grundy takes it. White arriving it beautifully. McVeigh, and just buys some territory there. And despite Chance Bateman's plea to the umpire that that was pretty deliberate, it will be thrown in. And Paul Roos can rest a little easier in the knowledge that he's going to take a 5-goal lead into the 3-quarter time huddle. Here's Kieran Jack. Maybe it'll be better than 5 goals. McGlynn. Here's Jetta. Get it on the boot. I bet it goes through. It's too late. The siren beat him. The crowd doesn't know it. It doesn't count.
You would not read about these, Tim. You wouldn't read about it.
The moment I heard the siren, I knew he'd kick it.
I think the Sydney supporters, some might not know their AFL like us. I think they're cheering thinking he got his 1st goal.
Oh, that is quite extraordinary. He is still no goals, 19 for his career. Most importantly, Sydney lead by 30 points. Can the Hawks pull it out, Matthew Lloyd?
I think the one positive for the Hawks, Roughhead and Franklin have not fired. Just 2 goals between them. They're their only hope in this last quarter.
extraordinary way for the third quarter to end. You could just see as he heard the siren, Lewis Jetta threw his head back. He knew that the bell had beaten him, and he still doesn't have a goal to bless himself with. But Sydney lead by 30 points at the last chain.
It certainly isn't, Tim. It's been an absorbing struggle to date. Swans by 27 at quarter time, by 47 at half time. It looked over 6 goals to 3 in the third.
Eyes on the footy.
And it's a 30-point ball game underway in the last term. Renoff leaps high. Held up is O'Keefe. Bolton with some assistance. And then Kirk in front, Goods. Doing really well from behind, it was Gibson. Sewell. It's a frantic start, back to Gibson. Good running again. Inside 50, it's Franklin and Grundy. Oh, wonderful defensive spoil from Grundy. And it emerges through the hands of Mattner. Out wide, this is Jack. Jack trying his hardest to get around Mitchell. Just puts it onto the left, up high. Misread by about 4 players. Ball hits the deck. White strolls in, and White goes and makes it look easy.
The Swans keep producing the answers. And that goal early in the last quarter by Jesse White really raises the bar for the Hawks. They're 6 goals down, and they're against a team that really has its eye on the prize today. Kirk into half forward. Hawthorn with numbers. Gibson, Ladson on his wrong side. Used the left and really needed the right there. Hawthorn are going to have to do everything right. O'Keefe has taken the honours clearly against Hodge. He's kicked 3 goals and limited the Hawthorn champion to a modest 9 possessions. Third quarter Hodge's best. Problem was O'Keefe kicked 2 goals. No, it's a long way back for the Hawks.
Walk away.
Ray Chamberlain with his hands full down there. Ladson this time uses the left in orthodox manner. Richards sees it over.
Paul Roosaby wrapped with his key defenders, Ted Richards and Heath Grundy. They've really stood up tall against Roughead and Franklin. Heath Grundy, he's actually the leading disposal winner on the ground with 26. He's really outpointed Lance Franklin today.
He's had a day out, Heath Grundy. Now Chesky, it's an interesting looking kick. Slews off the side of the boot. Loose ball on the wing. White applied some pressure. And relentless pressure being applied here by the Swans, but the Hawks get out of trouble. Gillum to Birchall. Short to Bateman. Oh, spills the mark. And now the loose ball. And Jack squirts the handball out. Ball still in dispute. And it's a holding the ball decision against Kirk. So didn't make an attempt. Mitchell into the centre corridor. And now the spearing pass lands on the chest of Buddy Franklin. Look to give it off.
And we haven't seen a lot of that today. We're leading up at the contest, but a big kick from Buddy Franklin will make the distance comfortably from 50 here at the SCG.
So if they're going to win this afternoon, they need to kick 7 goals in this last quarter. And that isn't going to help the assignment. Inaccurate this afternoon, Buddy Franklin. 1 goal 4 to his name.
Blood rule.
So an interruption here for a forced interchange. Blood rule. Renoff coming off. Big Simon Taylor coming back.
Now you see the Sydney Swans players, this in the modern day footy, you get a break in play, the opposition team will huddle. So the whole Sydney players are all huddled in the middle of the ground and they try and spread the Hawks defenders.
Kennelly, bold kick, well executed. Kennedy. hoping to taste victory against his former club, Canterbury Shaw. Gee, that was scarcely 15. Paid. Back to Malcheski. And Sydney playing a bit of keepings off, soaking up some time. Hawthorn need it every second if they're to have any hope. Bevan, Grundy. And Richards. So, frustration for the Hawks. Swans controlling proceedings, not giving them a feel of the ball, not opening the door to the possibility that they could be rattled with quick goals, as they were briefly in the third quarter. Goods reads the drop of that well. Kicked 3 goals, been a major contributor for the Swans in this reversal of their fortunes. And now McGlynn.
Playing in his first game against his old side. He missed the round 10 clash at the MCG earlier this year. That kick straight into the man on the mark. Mentioned during the week that he still has weekly contact with Brad Sewell, one of his best mates from Hawthorn. Speak quite regularly on the phone. As the ball spins back into play, time is running out for the Hawks. Hanbury off to Sewell. And he wins a free, was taken high. Get the feeling they need to play on at all costs now, the Hawks. Guerra over the top. This is Stratton, the youngster, into the pocket on the lead, Franklin. And he's on the right side for a left footer.
This is where we'll see Buddy's arc, Kel. That was very talkative over the last week or two. Watch him open up the angle and you see Jude Bolton trying to close him in.
For a much-needed goal, Buddy Franklin opens up the angle just slightly and splits the middle. That's all class, and Franklin has his second.
Alistair Clarkson there at three-quarter time. I think he said to the Hawthorn forwards, give Buddy Franklin as much space as possible. He's now one out with Heath Grundy just 20 metres out from goal. Jared Ruffhead and the other forwards pushing up the ground.
They're not done yet. 5 goals could win it for them. Sewell, modest day. Murphy gives it back to him. Sewell into half forward. Franklin again. Well, could he be the man to turn the game? He is the one who could do it. An inspired half hour from Franklin, and you just never know. Within range, already missed once, and then kicked one, and now from outside 50, and that looks home. It is. He has his third. It's back to 23.
So 2 in a minute to Buddy Franklin, and hope continues to dangle before the Hawks.
Here we go.
Paul Roos never looks anxious, always calm. So too Alistair Clarkson, not giving too much away on the boundary line. Goods handball went to Taylor. Burgoyne working hard, great smother. Kirk on Sewell. Another interesting duel. Players from both sides pushing their tired bodies to the limit. It's the Swans by 23. Pike, Kirk, Bevan, play on advantage. You heard the umpire. Inside 50, outnumbered was Dennis Lane. Gillan will get there first. He's got some support in Murphy. And Murphy emerges with the ball. Now Birchall spots a loose man. Osborne. Hawks are away here through Gibson. Holds it up. And then he gives it back to Suckling. Suckling kicks to Franklin territory. Got it down to Ruffhead. Can give it back to Franklin here. Handball, the look away handball. Off to Mitchell. Top of the goal square. This will be interesting. Franklin flew. Rather, Ruffhead flew. Franklin now flies. They're working hard. They're trying to do everything. Still in the back. Against Young.
The tackle landed in his back.
Kirk accepts the free. Offhead and Franklin down forward trying to do everything.
Move it on.
What a critical moment that was in this game. If Hawthorn had broken through there, they would have really been believing that they were a chance. Sydney held up. Now Jetta from behind the centre. Long ball for White. And he's got Gillum caught under it. And he breaks away again. No one between him and the goals. Getting back is Murphy. It's a behind and the margin is 24. And the Hawks haven't been able to break through that 4-goal barrier, which the Swans have maintained since the 18-minute mark of the first quarter.
Stolen here by the Swans. Bolton.
Back here.
We'll come back to him. He's brought down illegally by Osborne. Once he got rid of it. Short to Hanbury. He kicked 3 goals against the Hawks the last time these two sides met. It was round 10 at the MCG, and the Hawks got home in a thriller by 2 points. Hanbury high. Hawthorn spoil. We'll get a throw in.
I think Josh Gibson's been fantastic in defence today. He's 5th game back into the mix, and he's looking so much stronger as a player. And yeah, he'll be a real bonus for the Hawks in the run home to the finals.
So Sydney close to goal. And another one would just about finish the job. Eventually umpire Jeffrey concedes and will ball it up. More than half a quarter left. Mumford and Renoff. Jack been outstanding. McGlynn, the former Hawk, with the left. He's got it there. And the Swans lead by 5 goals.
Ben McGlynn, I wonder if Alistair Clarkson knew what player he had before he traded him. He's been sensational. And look at the respect these teammates have got for him. He's kicked 18 goals now for the season, McGlynn.
44 games in 4 years at the Hawks. They got the Swans off to the perfect start with the first one today. And he might have just provided the knee buckler. Bolton sends it out wide. No one's near Jetta. Now approaching him is Ladson, so he gets the kick-off in the pocket. And Birchall fists it over the boundary line. Dennis Lane, just his 3rd senior game this afternoon, already kicked a couple. Of Burmese heritage, hails from Perth. Spinning back into play. Mumford putting his body on the line again as McGlynn. Now Goods. Now Jetta, one way, then the other. He's twisting, he's turning. Gives it off to Kennelly. And they backtrack to Grundy. Just buy themselves some time out wide. Goods, Mark strong in front of Gibson.
Josh, 2 metres off 50, buddy. Thank you, that's fine. Thanks, Stevie.
Kick 3 this afternoon. And the pass is on by himself. O'Keefe, unmanned. Alistair Clarkson would be tearing his hair out.
Luke Hodge, who's standing the mark, 9 disposals for the day. Just the 5 kicks and the 4 handballs. And Ryan O'Keefe, who's been his master for most of the day, 15 disposals and lining up for 4 goals, which would just be a massive return.
It's been some sort of return to form for last year's best and fairest. And you sense the Swans are home. O'Keefe has his 4th.
Swans have brought that mood of collective defiance to their game today that has defined the Paul Roos era. And Alistair Clarkson can only watch as it slips away and his team's finals chances hang in the balance. Mitchell getting a hand pass out, but for no result. Sydney have just had too much team about them for the Hawks, who in this second half have thrown everything at it,
Go, Sydney. Went handball.
but never quite been able to break through.
Lloydie, what does this loss mean for the Hawks, do you think? Are they in real danger of missing finals action?
I still think they're good enough to make the finals, Kelly, but I think they've left too much in this last 2 months. I think it's taken out a lot of a lot of players, and I just think the start, Campbell Brown, they've had a lot of players suspended, just Surioli, Campbell Brown, Chance Bateman. So I just think that they've just never got themselves going, but they do have some class players, but a lot of deficiencies within their game, and I think a lot of that's they leave too much to too few, and obviously they're vulnerable down back.
And it's not the best time of year to be getting tired, as you mentioned. Suddenly their season this year is really mirroring their season from last year. Kennedy had a wonderful day out at the MCG. Goods. They share it around. Mumford, the ruckman, a bit of a dash, and Jetta's got it. In fact, it's Dennis Lane. I got excited. Looking to give it off. Kick 2 this afternoon. The only change at selection on Thursday night, he came in for Meredith.
20 gone.
On the back of 2 big thrashings, Paul Roos said there was no one putting their hand up in the reserve side, saying too many players making excuses. Dennis Lane, it's an awkward looking kick off the boot and never gave it a chance. It's the Swans by 37 points.
Just back on the Hawks, they hadn't lost a game by 2 goals since round 6. Lost to Essendon back then by 43 points. In the period between then and now, their biggest losing margin was 8 points. Hodge puts the ball into the 50, just about an Osborne mark. In the end, he came down without the footy and with a lot of pain. And it's Sydney's ball. Grundy gives to McVeigh. And the Swans have things under control, as they have had for most of the day. Paul Bevan. And he kicks to Hanbury. Only had 13 uses of the ball, but done some good things for Sydney. Keeps it close to the line. Lovely user of the ball. Here's Big Mike Pike. And the fans obviously love him. And well they might. It is an amazing story. His 21st game in his 2nd season for a player who had come from no background in the sport. Gibson for Hawthorn, giving it to Simon Taylor, who hoists it forward. Nothing there. Kennelly uncontested. Got the hobbles a bit. It looks like a cramp high up in the right leg. Kicks back to Bevan. And again, the Swans work it around.
Hanbury peeling off is a runner in Grundy. Possession number 30.
Relayed free. Buddy pushed him late.
Some frustrations from Buddy. Deep inside 50. Goods has got the sit. Goods has got the mark. And Goods is going to line up for goal number 4.
Fantastic kick there from Grundy. That put Josh Gibson under so much pressure in a one-on-one situation, and you back this man in every time. That's a fantastic kick from Mattner, sorry. It's a fantastic kick, and he's too big and strong there for Josh Gibson. He's just been in awesome form, Adam Goods.
So the dual Brownlow medalist from directly in front. And that was a rare miss. Adam Goods with 3 goals, 2 for the afternoon. This victory all the more impressive when you consider that there's no Bolton in this side, no Lewis Roberts-Thompson. Daniel Bradshaw, the Swans say, is due back in either round 21 or 22. And of course, Seaby, who they recruited from West Coast, is out for the year. So 4 players there out of their missing from their structure. As the Hawks send it forward, Lewis, Franklin in front, coming hard late. There was Grundy, did well. Franklin still after it. In there is Ladson working hard. Hanbury and the Swans again. And the fans applaud. Mattner coughs it up, gives it straight to Birchall. But Mattner goes back and gets it again, and McGlynn has a bit of a dash, gives it over to Moore at centre half forward. He's got options galore. Mattner over the top. Take the mark, Jetta, take the mark, and play on. Play on, Lewis Jetta. He's taking an eternity after 19 attempts. He breaks through. Finally relief. The sleepless nights are over, and the crowd absolutely goes berserk. A moment to savour for Lewis Jetta.
It is officially a standing ovation.
The boy from Bunbury in Western Australia, no doubt his parents are watching. A big moment for him, a big moment for the family. What a story.
I think the monkey's off his back. Watch how the goals will open up now. It's amazing how the pressure will be off, and he'll kick another 4 or 5 before the year's out.
Oh, dear. Seen it all now. It's amazing. Hawks press. Franklin. The odds just too great. So remember, Bob Simpson, as a young Australian Test cricketer, made a string of 90s. And he said, when I break through, it'll be a double. He was wrong. He made 311. And it stitched up the Ashes.
Did he have 19 runs of 90s, Tim?
Not quite that many. As Birchall kicks towards goal for the Hawks. Osborne, now that's a dive on the ball. Had to get it out, but he did. Mitchell scrambling it forward, and Franklin gets his 3rd goal of this last quarter, and he hasn't stopped trying. He looks a focused player these days, Lloydie. Is he a better player in some ways than he was 2 years ago when he kicked his 100 goals?
I don't think he's as destructive as he was back then, but you're right, his work rate's phenomenal. He's always in the game, and Grundy's had a good day, but he's had 4 goals, 4 kicked on him, so you'd have to say, you know, I would have said, you know, 20 minutes ago that Grundy took the honours, but in no time he's kicked another 3 goals, so it's definitely even or just in Buddy's favour now.
Pike to Kennedy. Hodge is trying to barge his way through. Tough day at the office for the Brownlow medal favourite, Luke Hodge. Werra, Lewis. Straight to Sydney. And there's Grundy. Possession number 31 coming up. Re-signed with the Swans a couple of weeks ago for a further 3 years. Now Chesky. Short into Bevan, so they're happy to just let it run down in these final few moments. Good crowd in at the SCG, and they've well and truly got their money's worth. It's been a high-scoring, entertaining clash. The Swans have led from the outset, but they've never entirely looked comfortable. Adam Goods leading from the front. Flying from behind was White. And it's held up. Lloydie, Daniel Bradshaw, I mentioned earlier, back in round 21 or 22, will make a difference if they get a final. Yeah, he would. You'd say that he would have needed some games in the Sydney League, but Paul Roos doesn't seem the type. He seems the type to say he'll throw him straight in there. And I suppose they've got nothing to lose. He just provides such a presence and a lead-up target that they haven't got, and maybe Jesse White could move into the ruck.
Now, let's have a look at what the Swans have confronting them over the next 3 weeks. They travel far and wide. Fremantle at Subi's a tough one. Then the Bulldogs at the SCG. They've won 6 of 7 here for the year. And then they go to the Gabba, where most visitors are winning these days. A couple of wins would certainly nail down a place in the finals. 6th position, I think, would be their objective for a home final on the first week And that might well be winnable because Carlton have a tough draw. Hawthorn forced to defend here. Dennis Lane getting a hand in, and the Swans keep it alive. Now, Hawthorn's draw, particularly interesting now. They're only going to be in the 8 by 2 points. Melbourne, remember they clobbered them by, what was it, 11 or 12 goals first up, and it looked as though Dean Bailey might be just about finished. Well, things have changed a bit since then. And that could go either way as McGlynn swings at Goldwood again, and he kicks another one. And the former Hawks had a beauty.
The Swans have dominated the tap out, and look at Mumford, 7th hit out to advantage. That is textbook. That's something you do at training, and McGlynn just did the rest. He's had a day out, got a lucky bounce, but they have made it happen around the stoppages, and that's where they've won this game.
What a story. Shane Mumford crossing from Geelong in the off-season. The Cats opting to stick with Mark Blake. And, of course, the Cats go into battle against Collingwood tonight, and Mark Blake can't get a game. Mumford has had an outstanding year. Kennelly to Grundy.
That's Matty. Thank you.
This
Over
guy,
the top to Hanbury.
Hanbury has a massive engine, just a real fierce desire to run hard, run the lines. It's just a huge work rate, and he's a great player. Will be great for the Swans for the next 10 years.
Yeah, just 19 years of age. Big future ahead of him. Dennis Lane, Pulroos brought back in an extra goal kicker into this side. And it has paid off this afternoon. White flies. Kirk, McGlynn, Goods again. Chopping it off was Hodge. Getting some touches late, Luke Hodge. Mitchell, Franklin, one out again with Grundy, and Franklin marks. He's kicked 3 in the last quarter. He wheels around, he gives it a big roost. That is a massive kick. And Roughhead marks 30 centimetres out from the goal line. Well, Lloyd, he's only kicked the one this afternoon. He almost wanted to play on, but he goes back, has the set shot, and he was never going to miss from there. Too little, too late for the Hawks.
Desolate scene is the Hawthorn bench. Heaviest defeat for over 3 months. And the season sliding away.
Oh, no prior. What up, boys?
The Swans know every contour of this SCG. And they play it in masterly manner. 6 out of 7 here this year. Here they go again. Kirk in the Dennis Lane direction. And he can go back and line up for his 3rd from pretty comfortable range after the siren. It's the Swans by 38, and it should become 44. A defining win for them in 2010. Coming off the worst 2 weeks of the Paul Roos era, with a couple of heavy defeats back to back. But typically they've dug in, they've reversed it, and Trent Dennis Lane to deliver the coup de grace. He does, and it's the Swans by 44.
And with me is Lewis Jetta. Now, Lewis, a long time coming, that first goal in AFL football. Your celebration was just as good as the goal. Talk me through the celebration.
No, I didn't know what to do. I was just so pumped that I finally got the monkey off my back and finally got a goal.
What about your teammates? They gathered around as well. And imagine after 19 behinds before that first goal, they've been giving you a bit of ribbing as well.
Yeah, they have. I just felt like today's the day I'm going to kick it. I got my little brother over, Brandon Jetta, so I had to kick a goal while he's here.
Well done. Now, what were you like at junior level? Could you kick him easier before you got to the Swans?
Yeah, before I got to Swans, I was smashing them through. It's just, I don't know, something about AFL, but now that I got them, now I got my first goal, I think the gates are open. I
Well done.
look forward to kicking some more.
Good stuff. Enjoy the win.
Thanks, mate.
His 15th game of league footy. He had 19 behinds before the first goal came, but when it came with a bang. And Sydney have reversed their fortunes with a bang. A 44-point win over Hawthorn. The Hawks' fate hangs in the balance. If at first you don't succeed, try, and try again. And eventually, Lewis Jetta, after 19 attempts, broke through an unforgettable moment. A standing ovation as with the game won, he kicked the first goal of his career. And it was just another high on a day of them for the Sydney Swans. 44-point winners over Hawthorn.